Hey everyone, Daniel here with Slow Haste, where we talk about synths, electronic music, and the creative process. A couple of weeks ago, I made a video of the disassembly process of my modular synth rig with the intention of selling off about half of my modules and creating a smaller, more sound design-oriented skiff. After playing around with the larger 7U 104 HP setup, I realized that I was kind of getting lost with my intentions, so I wanted to assemble a smaller, more focused skiff that I can use for sampling into the Digitact and the OP1 when I want to kind of just go wild with sound design. So I'm going to talk you through all of the modules I'm putting into this skiff. I'm going to show you the assembly process a little bit, give you some tips there, and just talk about the intentions of what I want my skiff to be. So hopefully you enjoy, and I'll see you over at my desk in just a quick second. Okay, so we're all set up here. I have my modules off to the side over here. I have all the tools I'll need. The screws, which I'm almost definitely going to knock over onto the floor at some point during this video. I have a screwdriver. And I also have a very useful tool that you might not know about, which is a twisty tie. And I will show you how this works. But basically, I don't know if you can see, but you just use it to scoot around the sliding nuts, which a lot of people think are a pain, but I actually kind of prefer them over what was set up in the IntelliGel case, where they're all kind of, it's just like a row of them. Because then you can't move them around, and sometimes it doesn't line up perfectly, and it can just make it a bit difficult to get things spaced exactly right. But with this is great because if you need to like scooch something underneath the module, you can just reach under and slide it across like that with a twisty tie. So this is an invaluable studio tool for the modular synthesist. Great Christmas gift idea. Anyways, I'll just talk a little bit about each module as I go to put it in the case, and then I will speed through the actual screwing in process because that's no fun for anyone. So this is Mutable Instruments Tides. I've talked about this before, but I like to use this as my main voice in my synth case. It's just really versatile, and it is also a really great modulator because you get these 4 outputs of modulation that are mathematically linked together, or you can use it as a 4-voice chord generator essentially, and I shoot that right into Veils, which is going to the right of it. So let me put that in. Okay, I have to step away for a second. I totally forgot that this case takes like a different sized screw because this ridge is pretty tight. So you need like a narrow and kind of a long screw. I believe the case comes with screws that work with it. But I actually totally forgot that I had to like go to Home Depot and buy a whole new set of screws to use with the IntelliGel case that I had. So anyways, now I'm actually gonna screw this in. Okay, awesome. That's in nice and tight. And second, in is going to go Mutable Instruments Veils, which again pairs perfectly with Tides because of the 4 inputs. And you can use those for the voices, or you can use the CV inputs if you're using Tides as a modulator rather than a voice. So they go so well together. I got them together, and it's just a pair that I will never ever break up. They are the power couple of modular synthesis. I hate that phrase, and I'm sorry that I said that. And next up is Mutable Instruments Marbles. This was one of my first modules. It is, to me, the sort of thesis of why modular synthesis is so great. It is a random CV generator, and it generates trigs, gates, and CV. You can put it into different scales. You can enter your own custom scales. You can have it go completely random. You can lock in the timing and the actual values of the CV, and it's absolutely incredible. It's one of those things that you can set up to certain parameters, let it run, and when you hear something that you like, lock it into place, and you are good to go. It will save that in its memory, and you can play to your heart's content and base a patch off of sort of randomly selected CV values that you really like as they play out. So it's super fun, and again, it kind of like opened my eyes as to what modular synthesis could be in terms of generative music. Okay, we are breaking away from the Mutable Instruments chain of modules to put in Make Noise Morphogene. If you're not familiar with Morphogene, it is a crazy micro sound tape machine that can distort and destroy and rearrange and chop up granular slices It can do sound processing, it can do sampling. It is very, very powerful and can be used in so many different ways. It's an extremely versatile tool. I like to use it for mangling guitar loops and guitar samples and changing them into crazy weird textures. So in it goes. Okay, so Mutable Instruments Beads is the successor and follow-up to Clouds. It is dubbed a texture synthesizer. It's essentially a granular sampler and synthesizer. You can process directly through it, use it as like a live effect, but you can also capture information in the buffer and use that as an instrument in and of itself. It has lots of great modulatable parameters and these built-in sort of like random attenuverters that have different functions based on each control. So it's really, really fun, and I think it's definitely like a modern classic, so to speak, and really a great follow-up to an already great module. Okay, getting closer to the finish line. This is Sisters by Mannequins, also I think owned by Whimsical Wraps, or maybe the company is also called Whimsical Wraps. I've always been kind of confused on that. But anyways, they're a really small company and they have a lot of really great modules, but this is just a simple filter, but it has a high, low, and center pass, and then you can route anything through all of those options and output through any and all of those options as well. So it's really versatile, great for a small rig. And last, but arguably most importantly, is the 4MS Listen 4. It is an output and mixer module with 2 mono inputs that you can pan left and right, and then 2 stereo inputs. It has a headphone output, you can use modular or line level out, and then it has a standard left and right output. This might seem like overkill for such a small skiff, but where I have Tides, Morphogene, Beads as potential voices, all of them can be operated in stereo, and Tides can have up to 4 voices. I really, really like to use this to get a good rich stereo field coming out of the modular, and since I tend to use my modular for sound design and sampling, it's a really versatile tool to have at the end of my signal chain. And then I really wish I had a 4 HP module to put there, because you know, there are plenty of small utilities, but I just purged about half of my module collection. The one thing that I might consider is the Make Noise Ears module that I can use for like an envelope follower or audio input. I have to mess with some of the configuration to like get audio into here because I don't really have an input module, but I think with my Blue Box mixer I'll be able to figure out levels and stuff to get appropriate sound running through here. Otherwise, if you have any 4 HP modules to recommend, definitely send them my way. 3 other modules that aren't in my case are Nano Rings, which is a clone of Rings by Mutable Instruments. I also have Mutable Instruments Plats, which is a digital synth with 16 different synth engines. And then I have Mutable Instruments Peaks, which can be set up to act as an envelope generator, a dual LFO, and lots of other cool things. So I'm going to keep those around to swap them in and out as I see fit, depending on what I am working on. But otherwise, this is going to be my sort of sound design rig that I'm going to use to create sounds with and then sample into the Digitact, into the OP1, into my DAW. So it will hopefully be a lot of fun to mess around with. Anyways, thanks as always for joining. It's always good to hang out with y'all, and I hope you enjoy whatever you got going on. Peace.